Solutions to quiz 7 for Math 95. We're had to add or subtract these two guys together. Well, these two guys and then these two guys. So square root of 8 minus the square root of 2. You can't just do 8 minus 2. What you have to do is simplify the square root of 8. You have to recognize that the square root of 8 is 2 cubed. Let me write this a little bit differently. Let's do it over here. Let's simplify the square root of 8. And the way we do that is we'd say, well, 8 is 4 times 2, and 4 is 2 times 2. So 8 is 2 cubed. So really when I say the square root of 8, I could say the square root of 2 cubed, which I can then split up into two different radicals. I can say, well, that's 2 squared square root times square root of 2. I have 3 of these 2. Put 2 here, 1 here. The square root of 2 squared is just 2. So what I get is the square root of 8 is the same as 2 root 2. In other words, what this problem is asking me to do is figure out what's 2 root 2 minus 1 root 2. And the answer to that question is just 1 root 2. So my answer is just root 2. If all this helps you, go for it. If it doesn't, skip it. All right, kind of same idea, except now I'm talking about cubed roots. So let's simplify. First the cubed root of 24, and then over here I'll do the cubed root of 81. And the way you can do that is you can say, well, 24 is 8 times 3. And as we saw above, 8 is 2 times 2 times 2. So really 24 is 2 cubed times 3. And 81 is 9 times 9. And since 9 is 3 times 3, 81 is 3 to the 4th power. So when I talk about the cubed root of 24, I really could just talk about the cubed root of 2 cubed times 3. And I could then break that up into two different cubed roots. Let's first look at the 2's. I got 3 2's. I want to put groups of 3 over here on the good side. So I put them all over here. Only have 1 3, so that's got to go over on the bad side. The cubed root of 2 cubed is just 2. So what I get is the cubed root of 24 is the same as 2 times the cubed root of 3. And similarly over here, when I talk about the cubed root of 81, I'm really just talking about the cubed root of 3 to the 4th power. And if I break that up into two different cubed roots, I could say, well, I got 4 of these 3. Let's put 3 of them over here and 1 of them over here. The cubed root of 3 to the 3rd power is just 3 to the 1 power of 3. So I get that this is 3 times the cubed root of 3. So this question, the cubed root of 24 is really 2 of these cubed root of 3 things. And the cubed root of 81 is really just 3 of these cubed root of 3 things. So I have 2 of them, now I have 3 more of them. In total, I got 5 of them. 5 of these cubed root of 3 things. So this right here would be my answer. All right, moving on. Simplify the following by distributing or rationalizing. So in this first one, I want to distribute. I want to take this root 2 and multiply it by square root of 12. Square root of 2 times the square root of 12 is the square root of 24. Square root of 2 times the square root of 27 is the square root of 54. If I find the prime factorization of each of those numbers, 24 is 4 times 6, 4 is 2 times 2, 6 is 2 times 3. So 24 is 2 cubed times 3. 54, 9 times 6. 9 is 3 times 3. 6 is 3 times 2. So 54 is 3 cubed, well, 2 times 3 cubed. So I guess I'm writing this in here. The square root of 24 is really just, I don't know how I'm going to squeeze this in, the square root of 2 cubed times 3, whereas the square root of 54 is really just the square root of 2 times 3 cubed. So if I break this up into kind of good radical, bad radical, maybe over here, I can say, try that again. I got 3 of these 2's, put 2 of them on this good side and 1 of them on this bad side. I got one of these 3's, so put that over on the bad side. I got just one of these 2's, it has to go on the bad side. I got 3 of these 3's, put a pair of them on the good side and one of them on the bad side. So what I end up with is 2 root 6 plus 3 root 6. This is 2, this is 3. 2 of these things plus 3 of these things, I got 5 of these root 6 things. Should have left myself a little bit more room. Although I don't think I need quite as much room for this. Square root of 9 halves. It's the same as the square root of 9 divided by the square root of 2. And if I want to rationalize the denominator, I'm going to multiply this fraction by root 2 over root 2. Since this is just equal to 1, I'm not changing the value of this fraction. However, in the denominator here, I had to pause that real quick. I think I was talking about, we're rationalizing the denominator here. So the square root of 2 in the denominator times this square root of 2 just gives us 2. So we no longer have a square root in the denominator. So square root of 9 times square root of 2 is the square root of 18. However, square root of 9 right here is really just 3. So I guess we could have written 3 root 2. Or you could break it up again. Yeah, I'm going to do it that way. That seems easier. So I'm going to say this is the square root of 9 times the square root of 2 over 2, which is 3 root 2 over 2. So the square root of 9 halves can also be expressed as 3 root 2 divided by 2. Sure, good enough. Down here, 9 divided by the square root of 27. You got a couple of options. You could multiply the numerator and the denominator by the square root of 27. The downside to doing that is you're going to get some really big numbers. An easier way to do it is to first simplify 27, or specifically the square root of 27. 27 is 3 cubed, so what that means is that the square root of 27 is really just 3 root 3. And when you look at it like this, it's a little bit easier to see. We're going to multiply the numerator and the denominator by the square root of 3, not the square root of 27. Although you could do the square root of 27, you'll get the same answer. Numbers will just be bigger. And then you'll get 9 root 3 on the top, and on the bottom 3 times root 3. In other words, 3 times the square root of 3 times the square root of 3, which is 3 times 3. But 3 times 3 is 9, cancels out with this 9. So what you're left with is just the square root of 3. In other words, 9 divided by the square root of 27, it's just the square root of 3. Another way of writing that. I guess that's it. That's the end of the quiz.